Hi, this is Kevin Yoder with another episode of KevinYoder.tv. Today we're going to talk about multiple offers and how to navigate through a multiple offer situation as a buyer. This market is crazy busy with real estate activity, summer of 2015, and buyers are finding themselves in multiple offers. And there are ways to navigate through that to make sure you get the house if that is the objective, and it is. And the last video we did is we went through the process of a multiple offer situation from a seller's perspective. Today we're going to touch on key strategies as a buyer, how to make sure you get the home you want and how to not overpay but yet win the home in a multiple offer situation. Before I get into the key strategies for winning as a buyer in a multiple offer situation, I want to remind you again about a couple of key tabs on this video blog. If you click the links for a market snapshot, you will then be able to look at what homes are selling for in your neighborhood as a seller. This is a great website, and you can put in your property address. It'll pull up optics on homes that are selling nearby. So if you're thinking about selling, it's a good starting point. It'll give you your neighbors' home sales, those that are on the market, those that have sold. For buyers, click on the free home search link. This is direct access to all listings on the MLS, not just my inventory, but all homes on the MLS. So same things that real estate agents have access to, you can do right from clicking that link. Okay, let's get into it. So you're a buyer in this new market and you want to get into a dream home. You don't want to overpay. That's really the underlying concern for a buyer, is not overpaying. And there's ways that you can do that and yet still get into the home that you desire. So the first thing we recommend you do, always, is get a pre-approval letter from your lender. If you're in a multiple offer situation and there are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sometimes 10 other offers, you can't submit an offer if you want the seller to consider it, without a pre-approval letter. Now there's two versions of this. One is a pre-qual, which is pre-qualification. The other one's a pre-approval letter. Pre-approval letters are much stronger. That means that your lender has taken the time beyond checking your credit and actually verified income. It's several steps better. And as a listing agent, I recognize when a buyer has a pre-approval versus just a pre-qualification letter, because I've seen pre-qualification letters turn into a disaster 2 weeks later once the lender finally does their homework and finds out the buyer wasn't actually telling the truth about their income or whatever it was. So pre-approval first. And we also recommend that you use a reputable lender. Find out, does that lender have a reputation in the community, especially the real estate community, that's a positive one. If we get an offer over and we have several to choose from, I'm going to give my seller advice on which lenders I think are stronger, which ones I've seen doing more transactions, have they been around a long time. So just food for thought there. Who is your lender? That will have a small impact on that agent's impression, which will then kind of transcend into the seller's impression about the strength of your offer. Something to keep in mind. Number 2 is know the score. Find out how many offers are on the table. That's important. Know the score there, because if there's one offer, that's a little bit of a different thing than if there are 10 offers, and then you can approach your offer price relative to how many other offers on the table. Know the home story. Not every home can a deal be had on. So if you find out that the home is vacant and it's been on the market for 180 days and yet there's another offer coming in, well, it's a little bit of a different thing than if it's on the market for 1 day and there's 3 other offers coming in. So if you know the home story, then you'll be able to position your offer stronger. So have your agent just do the research. Look into that. How many days on the market? Is there a backstory? Have the sellers purchased another home? Do they need to sell the home? And then your offer will be structured around that story, and just make sure you know what it is. Multiple offers usually result in the sales price being higher than the list price. And that's really the biggest thing to understand, is that be okay with that. And understanding that if you really want the home, it's okay to go above list price. And here's what I mean by that. The ways to avoid overpaying, which is really what the concern is from the buyers, overpaying, is have your agent do a market analysis. Look at homes that have sold nearby. You're looking for 6 months or nothing older than 6 months around that neighborhood. What are the homes that have sold nearby that are 6 months of data, not longer than 6 months ago? That represents a different market. Number 2, understand that the appraisal process will flush out the answers. So if you're concerned that you've overpaid in a multiple offer situation, realize that the bank, the lender that's doing your mortgage will eventually order an appraisal. That appraisal will then determine the true value. If you've paid more on the purchase contract, typically the seller will reduce their price to match the appraised value because they recognize that the buyer is not going to pay more than the appraisal has determined the home's value is. So remember that too. And then lastly, this is something I tell buyers, is ask yourself this question. It's a qualifying question for how much you really want the home. Would I be standing here writing an offer on this home if it were listed for $5,000 more than it is today? Ask yourself again, what about $10,000? What about $15,000? If the answer is yes, then you know for a fact that list price is arbitrary. And a list price is nothing more than a decision by a listing agent and a seller to put a price on the MLS for the property. It doesn't mean that it's the exact precise price, but where buyers lose and lose big time is they don't give it, they give it too much thought. They're thinking too much into that list price. And if they knew that by paying $5,000 more, this is the home that they live in for the next 20 years, that $5,000 is the equivalent of $20 a month in payment. So if you can afford $20 more a month in payment, then this is a home that you really, really love. Don't lose it over $5,000. That agent could have very well listed that home for $5,000 more. And if you answer yes to that, then it's probably something you should do if it's a home you really love. In this new market, the market's improving. It's hard to make a mistake as long as the market continues to improve. It's hard to overpay because the appraisal process will seek the truth anyway. So hopefully you found these tips helpful. As a buyer, this market's exciting. Homes are selling fast. Just make sure you've hired the right agent to do the due diligence and give you quality advice. If you need anything from us at the Yoder team, give us a call, 942-2449, online at yoderteam.com. And thanks for tuning in for another episode of KevinYoder.tv. Make it a great day.